Now, details of the big story of the day. The Union Minister Anurag Thakur launching a scathing attack on the BBC after it suspended sports anchor Gary Linekar over the social media activity. Thakur, in a series of tweets, added recent news reports linked to the BBC and called out the media agency for indulging in malicious propaganda. In fact, in one of the tweets, the Union Minister also said that fake narrative setting and ethical journalism are contradictory. In fact, this is what he said in his tweets. Those indulging in malicious propaganda forged in concocted facts can obviously never be expected to have the moral fiber or the courage to stand up for journalistic independence. My colleague Mohit Bhatt joining us on the broadcast with the details. Mohit, Anurag Thakur has been taking on the BBC. First it was the op-ed, now it is over the action that it has taken against its sports anchor. What are the details?
Well, yes, Anurag Thakur in a series of tweets questioned the neutrality, the so-called neutrality of the BBC, while Anurag Thakur stated that the former football captain of the English cricket team and who's the current anchor with the BBC was taken off air because he's on his social media accounts he talked about the government's immigration policy. He was critical of the government's immigration policy, but then he was taken off air. Now Anurag Thakur says that the BBC has been propagating fake propaganda against various countries, but then if you talk about journalism, then this is not journalism. Now Anurag Thakur also wrote about a documentary which was taken off air because it would irk a certain section of the politicians in the country, and that is why that documentary did not air. Now we have seen that how there has been a huge controversy over back home in India regarding the BBC documentary on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Gujarat riots, where the BJP has been saying that this is a malicious propaganda by the BBC to tarnish the image of the Prime Minister and the country. And we know that how Prime Minister was given a clean chit by the SIT, which was formed by the Supreme Court, and hence it was a malicious propaganda. Now then the BBC talks about journalism, it talks about that ethics of journalism. You cannot have different yardsticks. One, for the BBC documentary that was being aired in India. Secondly, for another documentary which was taken off air before airing just because it will irk the certain section of the politicians back home in England. And secondly, an anchor who took it out on his social media, who questioned the immigration policy of the government, was taken off air by the BBC. And that is where we see now various BJP leaders are coming out and they are basically saying that you cannot have different yardstick. And the government has been saying this, that BBC is indulging into anti-India propaganda. They are producing malicious content just to tarnish the image of the country and of the Prime Minister. And when this the BBC documentary on regarding Gujarat riot was aired in the country, we saw that how it was banned by the government. We saw that a whole lot of politics happened on this issue. But the government also says that now nobody is questioning the ethics and so-called journalism ethics of BBC when they have taken off their anchor, and also they have decided not to take on the documentary, take on air the documentary, which will, according to the BBC, will irk certain politicians. So the government of the day has questioned BBC's journalism. We have to wait and watch how exactly the opposition parties will react to this.
Okay, in fact, we have reactions now coming in. Mohit, stay on with us. Congress party echoing the BBC and the statement that it has made, continuing to back the BBC and